This is Vinny. I know it's 1 to 2, so some of you again sacrificed your lunch. Anyone here who was also at the Rust talk on? Well, you sacrificed 2 lunch periods for me. Merci. I also have to know who was there because I can't repeat the same jokes now, can I? So hello, welcome to my talk. I'm going to give a little bit of a talk about how and also why you'd be interested in building your own cloud service provider from scratch. That is, no Azure, no AWS, no GCP. I know we've got all these GDEs, but ignore them for now. We're doing it from scratch. We do local first, right? Digital sovereignty. C'est une grande affaire dans panel là, pas dans panel là, pour longtemps, but we'll see how it goes. Okay. So yeah, it's by me. This is me. This is me several years ago. I had short hair, small rack. Now I have big rack, big servers. Yeah, a bit about me. I have a website, I have a Mastodon, I'm on GitHub, and some of my interests include server stuff. As you can see, I have a mini server rack here. Now I've got a much bigger server rack, it's big enough for me to sleep in. Much bigger servers as well. And I work in Kubernetes and infrastructure and all that kind of stuff. And for some reason I decided I'm going to work on Kubernetes at work, and when I get home, my hobby is going to be Kubernetes on the home now. So work at work, work at home. This talk is influenced a lot by my home lab, and also by the fact that I'm one of the organizers of Cloud Native Mauritius. That is the local community group, kind of like MSCC, PyMug, etc., for Cloud Native stuff. Now, is anyone here not familiar with what Cloud Native means? Wow, nobody raised their hands. I say, if you don't raise your hand, I can't answer your question, and then you go home and you go, but Alex, what is Cloud Native? And then you're gonna make a LinkedIn post and be like, I did not understand Cloud Native. So, yeah. This is us. I mean, you can't even be sure this is us. I just chose a random pixel somewhere near us here. And this is a problem. I mean, we're all Mauritians here. This is a talk I gave at KubeCon in Amsterdam, and you'd be surprised at how few Europeans or Americans know where Mauritius is. So that was important. It's relevant here as well. We're all very familiar with our geographical position, somewhere in the middle of the Indian Ocean, a little speck of dust, far from big cloud giants, you know, in Europe, in America, and so on. So I'm a bit sad about this. There was this Reddit post a while back which compiled all the data centers from you've got Azure, Amazon, Google, and Facebook, and the concentration of the data centers around the world. And you notice America, plenty. Europe, many. East Asia, you've got many. Here is Africa. We've got so little capacity here. It's a bit sad. During the panel of digital sovereignty, I remember hearing the number floated about that Africa represents 0.6% of data center capacity in the world by megawatts. That's so little. You've got so little compute in the entirety of Africa, which, I mean, itself is kind of big, right? So this made me sad. We do have local cloud service providers. Don't worry, all sides are light mode now. We do have a few local CSPs. We've got Cloud.mu, which is one we've known for quite a while. Hoodie, I met them yesterday. I forgot about them for a while. You have Mauritius Telecom, which has a cloud service offering now, I think. I'm not sure to what extent it's public. I've heard the prices are outrageous. Sorry, anyone from Mighty here? Because the booth is right outside. I don't want to... But Mighty's prices are outrageous. Go harass them later. MTEL as well, they had plans for cloud. I haven't heard much about the public side of it. At least, you know, with Cloud.mu, where's my mouse? There it is. At least with Cloud.mu, you have a very public website. You can just go VPS hosting, virtual servers, and then you can actually get your stuff here, right? Which it's something, right? But a lot of cloud service providers in Mauritius are what I like to call old school. When you go to AWS or GCP or those big tech conglomerates in Europe and America, they have a lot to offer. not just compute, they offer load balancers, managed databases, managed Kubernetes, so much stuff. S3. Do we have S3 in Mauritius? So in Mauritius we have VPS basically only. It's very expensive. If anyone here has ever tried a hobby project on cloud.mu or looked at MIT's offerings, it's expensive. Even accounting for the fact that hardware around the world is more expensive nowadays, Mauritius is still very, very bad. So a lot of companies, because of that, instead of going towards cloud offerings, they'll prefer to run Windows VMs on VMware on-prem. And there's many things wrong with that statement. Local CSPs, at least at the time I was writing this, I think it's changed since, they still rely heavily on humans. When I wanted a VPS at cloud.mu, I had to do the payment. It was approved, I think, manually, and then a guy had to actually provision the VM. I don't think it's like that anymore, but not like that anymore. It was like that very recently. But with this kind of small-scale approach and attitude that we're taking towards infrastructure, it was never going to compare to the hyperscalers. I mean, even compared to Europe, we're nothing. And Europe as well, the OVH and Hetzner are still nothing compared to AWS and GCP. And yeah, as I mentioned, I do cloud native stuff, Kubernetes. Cloud native takes the backbench. We don't talk about cloud native here. We still do Windows VMs, Linux VMs. That's the offering. So I wanted to change that. Another problem is the connectivity. I mean, we've had problems in the past, haven't we? We had SAFE, which got broken. We had some on the west side of Africa, which got broken. Another one which got broken around, what was it? Between Madagascar, I think, and somewhere. It's bad. And another thing I was doing when I was researching this whole topic is that bandwidth is surprisingly expensive. Everyone here has home internet, right? At home, it's 200 Mbps download, 30 Mbps upload. Now, of course, you don't get 200 download, 30 upload to Europe or America, but just that speed alone, I think it's 2,000-ish rupees a month. So let's say, what, 40-ish euros. I have friends, they were telling me, yeah, Alex, well, I have 8 gigabit internet at home. 8 gigabits, and he pays 80 euros a month. It's insane just how little internet capacity we have. So yeah, Mauritius has the safe undersea cable as our main connection to the rest of the world. And so, as I mentioned, when those cables got damaged, we had huge latency spikes to Europe. US was inaccessible. I couldn't watch YouTube, you couldn't watch Netflix. It was awful. We had to go outside, look at the sun, and touch grass. Bad. Yeah. Sorry? Oh, carpet, not doesn't count. Sorry. And yeah, I wanted to have symmetric 1 gigabit, just symmetric. And you don't have that offering on home plans. You've got to go with business plans, and that costs a fortune. Okay. So why am I complaining? I do a lot of complaining these days. I complained in my last talk. I'm complaining again. I'm complaining because a lack of local infrastructure means that we depend a lot on foreign systems and companies. Hello. There's plenty of space in front. Sorry, you look like someone important. Do you work for MIT by any chance?
Yes.
Nobody tell him what we were talking about before you arrived.
Yes.
Pleasure to have you. Sorry, I like to engage with the audience. Hopefully you'll find me funny. Right, so a lack of local infrastructure means high dependency on foreign systems and companies. Yeah, I don't even have to elaborate. Well familiar with this. In a push to cloud, a lot of companies and even the government, possibly, went with things like AWS, GCP, which, if we go back a few slides, are all the way here in South Africa. And then we've got an undersea cable joining us right now. So, problem. Owning our data and our infrastructure is very important nowadays, given geopolitical tensions. I mean, there's certain presidents somewhere around the world who are crazy, and that causes problems for us, because one day they'll be like, oh, I want Diego Garcia, I'm going to put tariffs, I'm going to cut off internet, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And that was the case for the ICC, where they lost access to their mails, to Microsoft 365, and plenty of stuff because the government was like, we don't like what you're doing. And at the same time, by outsourcing all of our infrastructure to, Google Cloud AWS, we are also handicapping both local companies and local talent. And we've got a lot of cool people here. I mean, DevCon's shown you we've got many cool people in tech. We should make the most of it, right? Okay, so a quick detour on sovereign infrastructure. Nextcloud is not a replacement for Google Drive or Microsoft Drive or those kinds of things. OVH and Hetzner, which are European offerings, they are not even full replacements for the American hyperscalers. Now, what is a full replacement, a good comparison, is Airbus against Boeing. Both produce planes, commercial, and Airbus, which is the European version, appeared much later, right? It wasn't easy at all for Airbus to become a thing, and even nowadays, both companies are having their fair share of challenges. What I mean is, Airbus and Boeing have what I would call feature parity. They both offer the same thing. Us in tech, we like to compromise. We'll say, well, you can't do that, but it doesn't matter, you can do this other thing instead. But I want to do that. If I can't get a plane with so many seats from Airbus, then Airbus is not the same as Boeing. All right. So replacement is only possible when all the demands, even the niche ones, are met. I was talking the other day, there's Microsoft Office, people say, no, but just use LibreOffice. It's the same thing, isn't it? Except we've got decades of technical debt, things like HR payrolls, which are still working on mail merge, made for Microsoft Word 2000. I don't know. I'm not that old to know those technologies, so just take my word for it. Okay. Back in 2024, I gave a workshop at DevCon. It was in Polish, not here. It was for Kubernetes, because I like doing Kubernetes. I want to teach more people about cloud-native technologies. So I ran that workshop on Kubernetes, and attendees participated on many things: laptops, tablets, and phones, which means you had a cocktail of operating systems: Windows, macOS, Linux, Android, iOS, and the tablet, whatever. You get the gist. So many different flavors. I mean, even within Linux, you've got Arch, you've got Ubuntu, you've got Gentoo. So many choices, right? And workshops, they need consistent environments, because I can't have all of you come to a workshop someday with your laptops and we're going to spend an hour debugging. Why is it working on his laptop but not his? Is the firewall a problem? You use UFW, you use firewall D, the commands are going to be different. So at the end of the day, I said, well, the cloud was needed, but at what cost? I wanted to have a look at running a cloud. Well, here are my options, okay? Proxmox, it's an easy and very free way to run VMs. You've got the option of cloud VMs, which, I mean, they're VMs, so they're kind of expensive. At the time, there was cloud.mu. Another one was a shared Kubernetes cluster, so everyone who was attending would maybe have their own namespace with their own service account, and you'd have role-based access control to split them apart, so I can't delete someone else's workload, for example. And that year I had been at KubeCon in France, and the Rancher people, they gave a workshop on their platform called HobbyFarm, which gave me a lot of inspiration for this project. It was an entire lab platform, free and open source, self-hostable, but the only downside is, even though it's self-hostable, it still relied on stuff like AWS or DigitalOcean, which means it's not free. And for the workshop, there were like 50 people. So if I want to have a Kubernetes cluster per person, then we're looking at 3 VMs per person, 150 VMs, and I don't have any money by the end of it. So my question at the end of the day was, how do we build a cloud? And finally, we're getting to the central topic. So, what is a cloud? Well, cloud is someone else's computer, right? Everyone's heard this, it's a recurring joke. Let me elaborate on it a little bit more. You've got isolation, so the different users must still stay separate and unable to interact. I can't see someone else's database, I can't log in as someone else, needs to be isolated. Cloud, so someone else's computer, someone else's hardware. You don't manage that hardware in-house yourself. And then my personal thing is it has to be automated. Everything must run without human intervention, so I can be sick, I can be on holiday, and nothing's going to break. I'm not going to get a call and say, yeah, well, I need to provision a new VM. By cutting the human out of the loop, i.e. we don't need someone, me, on standby 24/7, it will run without human intervention, it will be easily scaled, right? So, finally, I've decided I'm going to make a cloud. I've got to look now, do I want to do VMs, like virtual private servers, or containers? And remember, I'm approaching this from the perspective of someone who does a lot of cloud native. I do Kubernetes every day. So I have an allergy to virtual machines. They're heavy, you've got stuff like hardware emulation, each VM has its own kernel, has its own OS, it's a waste of space. Anyone here who uses Windows? Alright. Any Windows, you just open Task Manager, you see either it's eating half your RAM, your CPU spiking, your battery doesn't last very long, you're gonna cry. Stuff like that. So VMs, full operating systems, woohoo. Containers, on the other hand, they're small, they're lightweight, and they scale very fast. That being said, VMs having separate kernels means they're most, yeah.
I have a question. But what if we take a VM and then run multiple containers on it? So the VM just provides compute power and the container is scale up and over.
Sure. You'll see my logic, my reasoning in a bit. So yeah, VMs at the end of the day, they're more secure, you get better isolation. Containers, you can share networking and storage much more easily. By having many small containers, wow, the room is very full, I'm getting stressed now.
You're lucky, the other session is not happening.
Okay. Hi everyone, we are trash talking local cloud service providers and building our own. There's a guy from IT here, he scares me. So yeah, thank you. It's alright, there's space in front, a few more seats. Yeah, containers you can share networking storage much more easily than with VMs. And containers at the end of the day are cloud native first. Your question, ask it to me at the end. Switch. Now, all of this is good. I still wanted Kubernetes. So I discovered this thing called virtual clusters. Maybe you're familiar with Kubernetes in Docker, kind. You might be running micro-K8s or something locally on your laptop, dev environments and stuff. It's really cool. Perfect for testing, but again, I don't want people to install things on their laptops. That's not the cloud. Virtual clusters, on the other hand, they can be deployed to an existing Kubernetes cluster, and you have Kubernetes in Kubernetes. At the time of me writing this, there are two main options. There's vCluster, virtual cluster, from a company called Loft Labs, and another one called K3K from the Rancher and SUSE people. I'm already a fan of the Rancher SUSE people because I run K3S at home. There's RK2, there's a lot of nice things in that ecosystem. So, yeah. Let's have a quick talk about K3K and vCluster. There's space in front, in the middle. You provision virtual clusters on a host. These virtual clusters are going to live in their own pods, containers for the uninitiated. Actually, I remembered, since you escaped from the other talk, anyone here who does not know Kubernetes or Cloud Native? Oh, come on, you can raise your hand, I'm not going to judge. Okay, a few raised hands. Kubernetes is a framework for running distributed compute. You can have many servers, physical servers, which are clustered together. By clustering them together, you can just say, I want to run maybe Nginx, I want to run my website, and it will just throw that workload onto your physical servers. You can have as many physical servers as you want, which means that if I were to unplug one of them, your stuff is still going to stay working. And Cloud Native is I'll just show the landscape. So the CNCF is a branch of the Linux Foundation. CNCF stands for Cloud Native Computing Foundation. They are the branch which does a lot of, well, cloud native stuff. But what does cloud native mean? It's everything built cloud first. So the whole ecosystem kind of revolves around Kubernetes, not strictly, but that's the reality. And you have a bunch of projects, which, let's just filter by CNCF projects here. All of these projects are open source stuff. A lot of it is written in Go, so Go developers, there's stuff for you to do. You've got what called applications, which are pre-written for managing basically everything. If you want to have massive, and I really mean insanely huge databases, you've got things like Vitess. I think YouTube runs off Vitess. Very big stuff, very complicated as well. If you want to do storage, you've got stuff like Rook and Ceph, oh, it's up there. Longhorn, you've got networking stuff. So this is a whole ecosystem, what you call a cloud native, which is, bunch of free and open source projects which work together. They do really cool stuff. And from my perspective, I'm organizer of Cloud Native Mauritius. It's the future, at least, if not the present, of infrastructure and servers, at least. It's been out for 10 years, it's still not a thing in Mauritius, though. Anyways, back on track. Thank you. Thank you for whoever raised their hands, because plenty of people didn't, and I know they have no Kubernetes. Stop being shy, I don't bite. I will laugh at you, but I won't bite. So yeah, virtual clusters, they'll live in pods, so containers on your host cluster, and will expose the API server for people to work with. You've got the option to pass through host resources, stuff like storage class, ingress class, config map, secrets. If you're not familiar with all of this, Kubernetes is a great thing to learn. These are all, like configuration or other facilities like what I showed the landscape of earlier. Virtual clusters, they're isolated across different namespaces, so it helps keep things a bit more secure. There's a space in front, one over there for the newcomers. Okay, so there's some other cloud native tech that I use for my project of running a cloud at home. There's Longhorn. It does distributed and low resource intensive storage. So I can replicate storage across my servers. At the block level, if I do a write to a volume on one server, it will be replicated to another. And this is great because if that server dies, your data is safe. And we had an incident at work recently. Bad stuff. Data's fine, but yeah. You've got Traefik. Traefik, you can also think of Nginx. Nginx Ingress got deprecated recently. But Traefik is an Ingress class. It does gateway API. And for those of you who may not be in the cloud native world, it's sort of like a reverse proxy. I've got Cert Manager. Cert Manager is a really cool tool to automatically provision TLS certs. At least in my case, it's from Let's Encrypt. And finally, the glue which holds everything together, the foundation of the whole stack, is K3s, my choice of Kubernetes. Much like you have Linux, which exists as Red Hat Linux, SUSE Linux, Ubuntu, Arch, etc. You've also got flavors of Kubernetes. So I chose K3s, it's nice and lightweight. Okay, getting a bit closer to my actual project. So my actual project, it's called Craft, not the cheese. I'm not good at naming. I will take name suggestions if anyone has any good ones. Craft, I named it like this. The K is for Kubernetes, and craft, as in like to craft, means to build stuff, to do stuff, and then yeah. I don't know. Give me better names, guys. So it's a combination of Rust and static HTML. I'm not a front-end developer. There are some front-end developers among us. They'll say that my website might look ugly. But the main magic is the Rust backend. I chose Rust because I wanted an excuse to write in Rust. I like the language and I don't like Go. That's offensive to some people as well. Anyways, triggering everyone in the room to be frank. So the backend, it handles everything from authentication, cluster creation, workspaces. I'll get to that in a minute. It's really cool. And basically the entire life cycle of your virtual clusters. The front end itself is a UI for people to go clicky because I know not everyone lives in a terminal. You like a website, you go click. Works for you. The Rust side is built on Actix Web, and this was built a long time ago when I was still learning about Rust, so it's not perfect. Actix Web is a small framework, a bit like Flask for those familiar with Python development, and it's very bare bones and gives you the possibility to customize a lot of things. Because it's so bare bones, I wrote my own authentication. It's probably vulnerable. Please pen test it. PR's welcome. And lastly, I've got resource handling. This is not yet something I've opened up that I wanted the possibilities of managing resources, monitoring cluster use, and so that I know who is eating all the RAM on my server, because RAM's expensive, guys. The resource handling, actually what it does is reads the metrics server and then puts it in a nice format for the UI. Okay. Oh, I was supposed to replace this. Let's see. Does this work? It works, great. Okay, top pods. Okay, so this was the old stuff. I had separated the authentication, the cluster management, the resource management. These were all 3 separate things. And you'll notice I did these 2 in Rust, and then I went with Python and Flask for the last one because I got lazy. And if you were not in my Rust talk, I just want to point out, these 2 do most of the work. They use 10 megs of RAM. This one uses 300 megs of RAM. It makes me sad. So that's why you'll see between this old screenshot and now, you'll see the Python thing isn't here anymore. It all got rewritten into Craft Core. 12 megs of RAM, guys. And I'm sure that your Kubernetes cluster will time out before my program does. Okay. Along the road, I made this crate. So crate is like a package called K3K RS. In the whole cloud-native landscape, Rust is not the first choice. Go is. But that being said, there's this project called KubeRS. It's a crate package for interacting with Kubernetes resources directly from Rust. It's an actually approved, like CNCF approved thing. I wanted to re-implement those K3K CRDs, so custom resources, into Rust structs, so like classes if you are from an object-oriented perspective, so that I would benefit from type safety and many other of the features that Rust provides. And should have been at my other talk if you wanted to know more about it. Booyah. So K3K-RS, it's an offshoot project which re-implements all of the CRDs of the main K3K project and has plenty of convenience functions to manage those resources. I believe I have, yes, I have. So this is 2 lines of code. Let client equal client try default.await. All this does is creates a client to interact with the Kubernetes API. And then the second one, let list. It's a list of clusters. You just list clusters in the namespace and you pass the namespace to it. So in 2 lines, I've reduced what would be a lot of manual work, maybe re-implementing stuff, into just these 2 lines. And I know a lot of you maybe don't do Rust, it's a bit of a niche language. That's why I like it, I guess. This is YAML in Rust. Right? You can probably read most of this, even if you're not a Rust person. All the way at the top here, you've got, I'm just defining a cluster schema, and it's a type of K3KRS cluster. It's a cluster type with some metadata. It's got a name with test cluster, a namespace, which is K3K namespace, and the rest is just default. In the spec itself, you just define things. For example, you've got servers 1, agent 0, commented out because those are defaults. But your entire YAML file is now just in Rust. So it's really cool. And it will also tell you, for example, if you pass a string instead of an integer as port, it will tell you and refuse to compile. So that's some cool stuff. Now, UI people in the audience, behold my ugly creation while I drink some water. Okay. Gonna sound less like Kermit the Frog now. So this is the UI that I made. It's very rudimentary. You can see that I'm a systems person. I do infrastructure because it's very functional. Create a cluster, view clusters, a README, and your account. That's all you need. Has anyone here used AWS? Have you logged into that console? Have you seen all the options? And have you nearly cried and said, I want to go work on a farm. I don't want to do tech anymore. Yeah, I went through that as well. So that's the landing page. You have an account. So dummy user, you've got passwords. You can reset your password. You can delete your account. What more do you need? It's GDPR compliant, by the way. You delete this, it deletes everything. I won't keep anything about you. It's fine. Okay, in terms of creating a cluster, Funny name. You just pass the cluster name, and then if you want a custom domain attached to your cluster, you'll pass that as a TLS SAN here. So the certificates will be generated accordingly. So here I just named the cluster help me, and then you click submit, and it's done. Guys, do you have any idea how complicated it is to go through like the cloud providers consoles and not shoot yourself in the foot with bad configuration? Here it's simple. You give a name, you say submit. It's fine. So then you have view clusters. So I've got a test cluster, I've got one for the cloud native community. It gives you the name, an endpoint, and the kubeconfig for you to download. For those not familiar with Kubernetes, the kubeconfig is a file with certificates and stuff, which is what authenticates you with the server for you to do things with Kubernetes. Another really cool thing is, okay, you can delete the cluster, sure. You also have cluster logs, so you can get logs from your cluster right in your browser. You can copy it, you can refresh it, stuff like that. You get all your information. So, for example, this is the server logs. You can just see here, and if anything is out of the ordinary, it's right there. And workspaces. This is something I'm really, really proud of. When I was done with the whole virtual cluster side of things, I was like, great. Your cluster will live on the cloud, i.e. my servers, and all you have to do is install kubectl, the command line tool, on your own laptop, and done. That's all you have to do. You only have to install kubectl. But then I was like, you still have to install kubectl, and I don't want people to have to go through that, because it is still a platform-dependent thing. You might want autocomplete, you might want, some nicer features. And then all of that will need more configuration on your end. So workspaces is a terminal in your browser, which comes with all the utilities, everything, all the command line tools that you would like to have. So you can see here, this is a workspace right here. It is in the browser. It's running just bash in the browser basically. There's kubectl, kubecolor, which gives some nice colors to your stuff. K9s, for those familiar with Kubernetes, it's a nice UI to manage your stuff. Of course, you get Git, Fish, wget, Vim, IP utils, stuff for you to, debug your cluster, work with it. And so other nice you have an alias, K for kubectl, goes again in the cloud native world. That's, it's a necessity. Because sometimes I'm going to go to a terminal and type K, it's like not found, and I'm annoyed. You also have kubectl autocompletion, another nice thing. And the way I made this workspace is actually kind of neat, because initially I made a Docker file, as one does, and it was just installing packages. I installed Fish, I installed kubectl, I added the files or changed some config files, and I was like, but there's smarter ways of doing this. This was actually the first time I experimented with making containers with Nix, because in Nix I just had to specify all the packages I wanted and some of the configuration, and the welcome message, and it just creates the container for me. This isn't a talk about Nix containers. It's a bit still advanced for my level, but it works. And yeah, so you can run neofetch. The container itself is built on SUSE containers thing. You can see the host. This is my actual host, the kernel. This is probably vulnerable to at least 10 of the vulnerabilities discovered in the last week, right? We've got AI, everyone's finding vulnerabilities in the kernel these days. Copy fail definitely will work. So yeah, you get the packages. Shell is bash, you also have Fish, I'm a Fish person. Yes, you have some other stats around the server. So that's workspaces for you. And recently I realized I was doing all my admin work from the terminal. I ran a workshop with the cloud native people not that long ago, and I said, well, it's not cool because the cleanup I've got to do it manually. So instead, let's have an admin view, so you can view all your users. Emails obviously not shown by default. You have beta codes, so I'm giving codes out to close friends to break my stuff. They haven't broken much yet. Clifford, you haven't broken it yet.
You're not trying.
Yeah. If you want some other beta codes, none of these are enabled anymore. You can try. Okay. So I mentioned at the beginning the requirements for cloud is to keep everyone isolated, keep everyone safe. So a major focus has also been on keeping your workload safe. Users, for starters, will interact only with their virtual APIs, with isolated etcd. Etcd being the data store for Kubernetes, for those unfamiliar, which also means that you can never have the same etcd data store as someone else using the platform. Clusters themselves are separated by namespace within Kubernetes, isolated through network policies, so your workloads can't reach workloads from other people, nor can they reach other devices on my home network. Don't worry, Ma, everything's safe.
Thank you.
Secured by pod security admission level, so you can have unrestricted, baseline, or restricted, and then each cluster has its own core DNS, so another cool separation thing to have. Virtual cluster policies is another thing, and don't worry, I'm nearly done with technical stuff. They give me a lot more control over these K3K clusters and resources by letting me implement resource quotas, so nobody's going to eat all my RAM. Default resource limits and requests, again, so you don't eat all my RAM. Allowed mode, what does that one do again? Oh, you can have shared clusters, so right now this is running in shared, which means you'll still use my host's ingress, my host's storage layer. You don't have to install that yourself. It's ready to go out of the box, like you'd expect, with AWS or similar. So what resources to sync? Again, I have ingress and storage being synced across. Pod security admission level. Why did that leave? Anyways, priority class. Some of these config isn't really needed, but yeah, you have max resource limits or requests because RAM is expensive, guys. And you can disable network policy, but I'm not doing that. A while ago, I had a friend. She helped me test it out. This was in the very early days. And so I gave her a beta code. She named the cluster something like "help me please." She downloaded the kube config, so you can see export kube config here, and then got the nodes. And was like, it's alive. Very surprised because obviously my stuff is not expected to work, right? I was also surprised because I expected my stuff to not work. You can see. She said, well, I'm so surprised. I have no faith in myself. It's right. We found some fun bugs together, like you get a 200 response, but it still says an error occurred somewhere. And finally, at midnight, so I wasn't there to actually witness the thing happen, she said, wow, listen, it's not covered by TLS and there's HSTS, but it actually works. And she said she's impressed. I impressed someone. So there's still some stuff work in progress. At the time I made this, I was waiting on some hardware. I needed more disks. Those arrived recently. Then a rabbit ate my fiber cable, and then Mighty generously came to replace the fiber cable. Thank you. There's a Helm chart on the way to deploy Craft easily, so that you can host your own cloud service provider from your own computer. Some more hosting features and options, like you see. Initially, I started out by comparing Airbus to Boeing, saying that's the only comparison which has like feature parity. So I want Mauritius to have a lot more options. S3, someone mentioned Cloudflare Pages. You see, plenty of features like this which don't exist here. You've got to make the hop to South Africa for that, at least. So yeah, some of those features like that, I'd love to have them integrated as well. I wanted to make my own virtual cluster solution because I found limitations in K3K, and it's in Go. I can't contribute to it. So I'm like, I'm going to rewrite it in Rust. Everybody's laughing. Disappointing. Some backup and restore because backing up data is useful. And yeah, some annoying K3K bugs, which I'm still working through. So yeah, that's it from me. Here's my website, Telegram, and Mastodon. So if you want to reach out, I'll be here on the conference as well. I risk not getting a yellow card today. I'm very proud of it. Pleased and proud of myself. So yeah, does anyone have any questions or comments? Or say, Alex, you're insane.
We have one.
Yes.
Oh,
no.
So why are you
He's
using?
going to buy it from you. He's got a lot of money.
Let's talk later. Okay. Shoot.
So why not using something like OKD4 and then build on that? It already has a lot of stuff.
I'm not familiar. I've never heard of OKD4.
Okay.
It's actually an issue in this room last year.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Really?
OKD is the upstream open source project for OpenShift.
OpenShift.
Oh, OpenShift!
Yeah, that's the upstream.
Okay.
The community version, yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, you have the choice. When I was making this, I had a bad taste in my mouth from Red Hat. Well, not Red Hat in particular, but very American aligned companies.
Okay. But
Okay.
I mean, it's open source. I mean, you could
Yeah.
have improved on it, make it better.
Maybe, but you've got plenty of options. Actually, it's not specific to your underlying Kubernetes distribution. You can run K3s, or K2, OpenShift, plain kubeadm. Anything will work. So I wanted to keep it as open as possible. So, that's good?
Yeah.
PR, is that alright? Yes. Yeah.
Do you offer it as a container so that somebody that sets up a home lab could just run it as a host instantly? Like supporting you that we get redundancy about, hey, your home lab, 20 other home labs?
Spreading home labs is not a thing I've considered. It still just matters about the host Kubernetes layer. So if you want to join your nodes to my cluster, then that would work as redundancy.
You're maybe even having then replication
Yes.
between different, like creating a zone.
Yes. I'm going to retire from Asante. I'm just going to end up working on this full time now. Yeah. But another thing on the self-hosting thing is there's a Helm chart. So most of the stuff are just right here as Helm templates. So even if you're not part of my cluster, you can still run it on your own.
Good, but it's easy then to run. I mean, the thing is, what are the necessary steps
To join it to mine.
to set up my own home lab with a similar or same setup?
Same setup. So
So installing Graph, I have a host,
It's
system,
simple.
installing Graph, and have those templates.
No, it's simple. You install Kubernetes on your host, then you do Helm install, and then you point to this repository.
Okay.
You have some sensible defaults for values here. You just customize that, and then you'll be good to go. Yeah. All right.
Cool.
Yes.
OKD would have a similar config to Kubernetes, so there's not a lot of difference. But there's a specific project that was done 7 years ago that's called Incus, that's based on LXC and LXD, that does the exact same use case.
You said several things I don't know.
Oh.
So what do you say first of all?
So OKD would be similar because it's OpenShift.
Yeah, no, that we established it.
But
Kubernetes
the
is
other one-
Kubernetes.
The other one is called Incus, which is a fork of LXC. INCUS,
INCUS, which is
Yeah.
a fork of
which is a fork of LXC.
EL.
LXC.
Linux.
Oh, LXC.
Yeah.
Linux containers unit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I helped on that project, and it was made for security projects to host the.
Do we have any Google people in the room who doesn't? There's a problem here.
No, it's the second one.
You're in the wrong.
Okay, it's fine. I'm sorry. Canonicals NXT. It's run and
the
managed.
first Google link.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
yeah, it was made for security and for pen testing,
Okay.
entire environments, and so it would be ideal because you wouldn't have to do a lot of hard editing. It's made for internet-based security isolation,
Okay.
and it's been public for 10 years.
Ah.
So
It's again not something that I've looked into. I wanted to make my own solution.
Yeah.
The also thing about craft is that I did just want to make something myself. I wanted an excuse to write Rust. So-
By the way, that Incus project you say was created by Alex SRI.
by
You-
Stefan Grauer.
No, that, on the page it's written created by Alex SRI. You met that guy while he worked at Susan.
Oh,
You probably forgot his face, but
definitely.
But it's currently maintained by Stefan Grauer.
yeah, but it was created by that guy, man. It can be maintained by another guy, it doesn't matter. Alex SRI, and he had the lucky chance to meet the guy in Germany.
That was the
the
name.
point.
Alright, so are there any other questions people are interested or, because I realize we do have a bit of a non-cloud native audience here. So yeah, if anyone's got any questions. Is the next speaker in the room? Oh, that's you, right? Of course. Okay.
So no,
So we can keep going.
It's already in my hand.
It's already.
not for you.
No.
It would have been, you know, like somebody asking questions.
All right. Well, any other questions? People who are curious. There's the Cloud Native community. So the Cloud Native Mauritius.com. No. CloudNativeMauritius.com. Long URL. Ugly website. We're sysadmins, not front-end people. We have a Telegram. You can join here. We have a Matrix server, which is not maintained. But yeah, you can see what we're doing over here. We've got events coming up. If you want to get in touch, get involved, be happy for you to reach out. All good? No more questions? Honestly, I'm so disappointed we made it in time. Yuki, can you give me a yellow card just for the sake of it, please?
No. Fair play. All good.